This is the audio recording for the passages that go along with the main idea quiz. At the end of each passage, you will need to pause the recording and refer back to your quiz in order to answer the questions. Passage 1, The Glass Castle by Jeanette Wells. If we asked Mom about food in a casual way, because we didn't want to cause any trouble, she'd simply shrug and say she couldn't make something out of nothing. We kids usually kept our hunger to ourselves, but we were always thinking of food and how to get our hands on it. During recess at school, I'd slip back into the classroom and find something in some other kid's lunch bag that wouldn't be missed. A package of crackers, an apple, and I'd gulp it down so quickly I would barely be able to taste it. If I was playing in a friend's yard, I'd ask if I could use the bathroom. And if no one was in the kitchen, I'd grab something out of the refrigerator or cupboard and take it to the bathroom and eat it there, always making a point of flushing the toilet before leaving. Brian was scavenging too. One day, I discovered him upchucking behind our house. I wanted to know how he could be spewing like that when we hadn't eaten in days. He told me he had broken into a neighbor's house and stolen a gallon jar of pickles. The neighbor had caught him, but instead of reporting him to the cops, he made Brian eat the entire jarful as punishment. I had to swear I wouldn't tell Dad. Passage 2, Chew on This by Eric Schlosser. McDonald's buys its Happy Meal toys from manufacturers in countries where their prices are low. On the bottom of their toys, you often find the phrase, "Made in China." Too often, the lives of the workers who make the Happy Meal toys are anything but happy. In 2000, a reporter from the South China Morning Post visited a factory near Hong Kong. The factory made Snoopy, Winnie the Pooh, and Hello Kitty toys for McDonald's Happy Meals. Some of the workers there said that they were 14 years old and often worked 16-hour days, twice the number of a typical American workday. Their wages were less than 20 cents an hour, an amount almost 30 times less than the lowest amount you can pay an American worker. Passage 3, The President Has Been Shot, The Assassination of John F. Kennedy by James L. Swanson. The car was topless. The Secret Service agents preferred to ride on the running boards, metal retractable shelves protruding from the sides of the car. They would also stand on the 2 steps at the rear of the limousine. Having agents stand on the Lincoln gave the president at least some protection. The presence of these agents would make it almost impossible for a sniper to shoot the president from behind. Had a Secret Service man happened to be standing on the right rear step when John Kennedy rode through Daley Plaza and had his shooter chosen to shoot from behind the president, the agent's body would have obscured his shooter's sightline. The assassination attempt would have failed. But President Kennedy did not like it when his bodyguards rode on the car because he thought it made him look less approachable to the people. The Secret Service hated the open car, but the president and the people loved it. Passage 4, Notorious RBG by Erman Carmen and Shana Konsnick. Please note that RBG is for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Supreme Court Justice. It was clear to RBG that fighting discrimination one strongly worded letter at a time was like catching the ocean in a thimble. There would always be another sexist law or regulation to take down. Women's rights advocates needed to think bigger. What the country needed was a broader recognition of gender equality, whether in headgear or federal policy. For decades, some feminists had said the solution was an equal rights amendment to the Constitution, but each time it had been held up in committee. RBG wondered whether the Constitution already held the answer. The question was how to get at least 5 Supreme Court justices to see the Constitution as she did. So RBG wrote to Mel Wolfe, an old friend from summer camp who had been the National Legal Director for the ACLU seeking support. In response, Wolfe told RBG he could use her help building a case to the Supreme Court. Passage 5, Unbroken by Laura Hildebrand. Everyone in camp was eager to get home, but Fitzgerald received a radio message telling him to wait for an evacuation team to arrive on September 4th. So the POWs waited, eating, smoking, eating, celebrating, swimming, and eating more. On September 5th, Louis stepped from the barracks where the soldiers lived for the last time. Outside, the POWs were gathered together, holding what few belongings they had. The British Commonwealth soldiers had the boxes with their national flags. Together, they marched through the gate toward wives and sweethearts and mom and dad and home. Louis glanced back. The sickest POWs, which are prisoners of war, remained behind, awaiting transport the next day. Fitzgerald stayed with them, unwilling to leave until the last of his men was liberated and freed. As he crossed over the bridge and Aotsu passed out of view, Louis raised his arm and waved the war goodbye. The last passage, Passage 6, I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai. 1 year ago, I left my home for school and never returned. I was shot by a Taliban bullet and was flown out of Pakistan unconscious. Some people say I will never return home, but I firmly believe in my heart that I will. To be torn from the country that you love is not something you wished on anyone. Now, every morning when I open my eyes, I long to see my old room full of things, my clothes all over the floor, and my school prizes on the shelves. Instead, I am in a country which is 5 hours behind my beloved homeland Pakistan and my home in Swat Valley. But my country is centuries behind this one. Here, in Birmingham, England, there is any convenience you can imagine. Water running from every tap, hot or cold as you wish. Lights at the flick of a switch, day and night. No need for oil lamps. Ovens to cook on that don't need anyone to go and fetch gas cylinders from the bazaar. Here everything is so modern, no one can even find food ready cooked in packets. When I stand in front of my window and look out, I see tall buildings, long roads full of vehicles moving in orderly lines, neat green hedges and lawns, and tidy pavements to walk on. I close my eyes and for a moment I am back in my valley. The high, snow-topped mountains, green waving flags, and fresh blue rivers. And my heart smiles when it looks at the people of Swat. My mind transports me back to my school, and there I am reunited with my friends and teachers. I meet my best friend Manaba, where we sit together, talking and joking as if I had never left.